Alrighty, I'm just going to explain some of our code here that we use to put together our Battleship project. Inside our play game loop, our play game function here, we first import all of our images and fonts. Here we use blank matrices with just zeros in them to establish the player board, and then we use the computer ship assign function, which I'll show you down later, to randomly place ships for the computer on what will be the player shop board, or the board that the player is shooting at. This set of code here allows the player to click to place their submarines, battleships, and carriers, and then updates the screen. This begins our firing sequence after the player ships have been placed. In the firing sequence, who is shooting is 1. That will allow the player to take their shot, and then inside who is shooting 1, it will get changed to 2, which will then have the computer shoot. Here is we blit all the shot locations in the matrix that our player shot function and computer shot functions are targeting. The zeros are changed to X's if it's a miss, and if you hit a ship which is designated by either an S, D, or C, if you hit one of those, it'll get changed to H for hit. This will then, right in this function here, display what occurred, either a miss or a hit. Here, this set of function, I'll show the check sunk function below. Just checks to see if all of the of a certain type has been hit and has been sunk. This checks to see if the player has either lost or won. Now into computer shot with who is shooting 2. This code it all runs through, and I'll show you the computer shot below. But then in here, this changes the matrix locations from zeros to X's, S's to H's, just like in player shot, based on the coordinates the randomized function produces. Function here is same as the player function, and just checks to see if the computer has won. We didn't need a sunk function for the computer because as the player we're able to tell and see which ships they had hit. Now these are in all of our called functions that we use inside the main game loop that ended right here. Player shop, which takes a mouse motion event, and if you click on it, returns a matrix location based on the pixels. I'll show you this chord convert function below that shows you it takes a tuple of pixels locations and converts that to a location in a matrix. Then it goes through a series of if statements to check and see what is at that matrix location, and either determines if it was a miss or a hit. Ship assign was used in the main part of the function. This allows the user to place their ships to the grid. These while loops cycle back through while there isn't 4 carrier squares accounted for on the board. Same goes for all the other ships. These type of statements that you see periodically are used to update the command board and tells the player what the next step they need to do is. Computer ship assign randomly puts all the ships in order or on the player shop board. It takes a random integer for both locations at the start to place the very first one, and then places the next one to the right of it. It works just like carrier or ship assign rather, and places all the ships for the computer. The computer shot function is the one that we had most trouble with. It still throws a non-type error, and some of the randomized, some of the shooting continues to be randomized while after hitting a target. What is supposed to happen? What's supposed to happen with this function is that if it hits a miss, it should return these coordinates in order to blit that miss. However, if it does hit a part of a vessel, it is supposed to turn certain variables to true, which will allow us to access sub functions and continue to shoot around a specific location. I'll use the submarine as the example. Is if it was to run into an S in the matrix, it should turn hit sub 1 true, which would then allow us to access these set of functions, which would target directly around that S that was hit from on all four sides. Hit 1 carrier and all of these functions are supposed to act in a similar way and target around each of those hit locations. Down here, the final functions, this is our checking for victory function, and it just looks through the entire matrix to see if any of the ships remain. If it doesn't find any, it will return true in order to declare a winner. The check sunk checks to see if there's any certain S's, C's, or D's, and if those are not, it returns the variable sub sunk or carrier sunk and allows us to determine which subs were sunk. This is our chord converter, which is used to take the pixels of the click location and return a specific location in the matrix. We then revert back and use grid direct left and grid direct right to convert from the matrix location to a pixel location. This allows us to blit the shots, hits, and ship locations for the player on the grids.